All right. Welcome, everybody, to the Value Seville podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Hendrickson, here with my co host, Donnie Sitar. And wanted to take a few minutes this podcast to just kind of introduce what the podcast is going to be about and why we're doing it. First and foremost, we took a long look at the internet and decided there just are not enough investing podcasts, and we need to throw one more out there, throw our hat in the ring. Not really. Obviously, there's a ton of investing podcasts out there, but why is ours different? Why are we trying to differentiate ourselves? And for those of you that know our event in Charlottesville, we do once a year in May, Value Seville. It's 2 days where it's basically like a 2-day best idea dinner, if you will, all done in a Jeffersonian format, which gives it a very, I think, cool feel in terms of meeting people, really doing deep dive discussions on individual stock ideas, individual investing concepts, things like that. So part of wanting to do the podcast was me, and I think Donnie and I both really wanting to get more out of Value Seville than just the 2 days a year in May, right? We had especially this past year, had such a wonderful time. And I think everybody learned a lot, got really good investing ideas. We thought, well, could we extend it a bit, extend our fairly closed network to the rest of the world, and then try to, you know, add on to those ideas. Even in an investing conference like Value Seville, you might hear a 15-minute pitch on an idea and then have 10 minutes of Q&A, which is pretty good. But rarely do you get to follow up with that person, say 3 or 4 or even 6 months later, to try to figure out, well, what in the thesis is going right? What is going wrong? How has it changed? And so we thought this could be a really good format to do that. But before I continue, Donnie, take a second, introduce yourself to the audience and kind of give us your thoughts on this.
Yeah, no, appreciate that. So yeah, Donnie Sitar, portfolio manager, Rubicon Investment Group, a concentrated value-oriented fund. Yeah, I think it's right, Jeff. I mean, with the inspiration from this is clearly Value Seville, where and we all get together with 3 years now. I think it's been where we got together and just talk ideas on a number of different formats. Right, some of it's obviously the formal presentations, but a lot of it's the informal conversations as well. I think that the main for me the main idea here is just these are conversations that I want to have anyways. It's a tends to be a very thoughtful group of people who've either put a lot of work into an idea or put a lot of thought into a concept. And so you want to get, if you want to get, we always talk about 1% better, right? So if you want to get that 1% better, it's just, have conversations and have sort of, thought sparring partners, that you really admire and like to have a dialogue with. So I think these are conversations that I want to have anyway. I think you would agree. These are just people who we just really enjoy talking to, and might as well do it in this way. I can't think of a better partner than you. I think you know how to get a lot out of people, so I'm pretty excited to do this with you, and I think we'll just have a great time and learn something along the way. And those who want to follow, will get something out of it as well.
Well, yeah, and the other thing I want this podcast to be about is I see a lot of podcasts where ideas are pitched and you don't get a lot of pushback. What I want this to be is a way to make ideas better by pushing back and trying to understand the opposite view, right? And so a lot of what I want to achieve is to really is to try to make everybody smarter through dialogue, and really digging deeply into why an idea might work and why it might not work, and trying to really flush out all of those angles, so to speak.
Just real quick on that point, I think it's right. It's like, where is we always say, like, where's the humility in the investment, right? And
Right, right.
that's what you got to get to that as soon as, even as quick as you might get to your kind of long thesis, because you really want to know where things can go wrong. And it's always interesting to push yourself on that, because it's always a little bit more uncomfortable than teasing yourself on the long than talking the long side. So I do agree, those are a little bit more fun, and I think you can learn a lot, thinking both ways on an investment idea.
Because I mean, yeah, because like I always look at even a good investment idea, right? I mean, if you always look at it like it could be a great long or it could be a short too. Like there's probably a way to make money here. Not that I'm a big, not that I short stocks a ton, but I think oftentimes we want a long idea to work out because that's how we make our money. But if you really look at it like, look, there's a bull case and there's a bear case. Somebody's going to end up being right and somebody's going to end up being wrong. And let's try to figure out through, maybe intense debate on an idea, which one of those is right. And even if you're a long only investor, that maybe come into a podcast on a specific idea. You say, "Oh, somebody on Value CVille is going to be talking this stock. I'm long that stock. I'd like to hear their view." What I want is just, I don't want an echo chamber, right? I want to really create something. It's like, look, we're going to look at this thing from all angles, and everybody's going to walk away smarter because of it, right? And so that's kind of my goal with the podcast.
I
The other
agree.
thing,
Yeah.
yeah, the other thing too is I think we talked a lot about, Donnie, is the format and but the length. So there are a lot of podcasts I love watching, but they're just, if I don't have 2 hours or sometimes even 3 hours to listen, or if it is long, I have to listen to it at 2 times speed. It's very time consuming. And so I think we've talked about wanting to create this kind of 20-minute format, right? Which, if you look at classic sitcoms throughout history, it's about 20 minutes if you net out the commercials. And so 20 minutes is a good amount of time where it's not going to take an entire day. You can listen to it on your morning commute, on the weekend, you want to go for a jog, whatever, you can put it on and not have to devote, right, so much time to just, one podcast, that you'll be able to cycle through a lot of these and get exposure to a lot of ideas without some massive commitment of time. Because as we all know, with the way that the world works today, the biggest challenge is figuring out how to spend your time, the most productively, the most wisely, et cetera. So I think that 20-minute format really is going to be a good way to facilitate best use of time, so to speak.
Yeah, I think it's just like having lunch with us one day, right? And just having a
Yeah.
thoughtful conversation on something one day over a lunch, I think. And so, I think that makes it very palatable. I also think that, look, if in 20 minutes, I like to think of it as, first 20 minutes, if you've heard an investment idea, if you don't like it, you're not going to like it after the next 40.
Right.
And then I think on the other side, which is the kind of the dual mandate that I think that we have in a sense, right, is one talk investment ideas, the other one is talking mental frameworks or mental
Right.
models, as we like to call them. Those usually are more they're up for an explanation.
Yeah.
But it's up to someone, I think, to cogitate on their own, right, in a lot of time and think through it and do research on it and whatnot. So it's just introducing an idea and something that could be impactful for somebody. We like I said, we like to call these things 1% IRRs, and so I think 20 minutes is a perfect time frame. Probably as much as our ADD will let us have a conversation anyways
Right.
in this format. So I think that works out pretty well.
And like even on the, so basically what you guys are going to see here is some presenters are going to pitch an idea, right? A specific actionable stock. They're long, could be short, could be, whatever. But then you also are going to get some presentations like the first podcast we're going to be doing here shortly next week with Jeremy. It's an idea, right? He's going to be presenting an idea, an investment philosophy, a way to think about organizing, your thoughts around capital allocation. And this is based on a presentation that he gave at Value CVille this year. Look, just to foreshadow, I think Jeremy's idea is a great one. But I've been sitting there thinking, if I had to push back on this idea, like where could this idea go wrong? Like where would it? And so in that podcast, I'm definitely gonna, I'm gonna bring that up and see. So that way you just see both sides of the idea. So even if it's not a specific investment idea, if it's a philosophical idea, you still want to be able to see both sides of it, right? Because, there's pros and cons to everything in life. And so, that's a big goal of mine.
Yeah, well, I look forward to the cross-examining and seeing
Right.
how that works. So, I likewise, it'll be a lot of fun to do that and see what we get out of these things.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I think we're going to cut it off there for this first introductory podcast, just to kind of let the audience know what our goals are, what we're trying to achieve. And we will see you all soon with our first episode, which will be hosting Jeremy Deal, a good friend and a longtime Value CVille attendee. And until then, we'll see you guys next time. Take care.
Take care.